sky.com.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Sky, all the football you love in one place. Across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Now, welcome along, Football Show. Joe Molloy here, Dan McDonnell of the Irish Independent in studio. Latest in the Champions League. Still Bayern Munich 0, Villarreal 0. Villarreal with a 1-goal lead from the first leg. We're into the 48th minute here, and it's Real Madrid 0, Chelsea 1, 48 minutes on the clock. Mason Mount with the goal for Chelsea, so this tie very much alive, 3-2 on aggregate. And of course, Dan, the news from Gothenburg. Sweden won, the Republic of Ireland won. An essential staging post to Irish footballing greatness, of course, is a 1-1 draw against
you haven't had a 1-1 draw of substance.
Opposition.
What even are you?
Number 2 side in the world, Sweden. And Ireland scored first, courtesy of Katie McCabe, and that was just before half-time. And Ireland held on. Vera Pauw has referred post-match to the team as a bunch of tigers, Dan. They held on very ably for a lot of the game. Courtney Brosnan in the Irish goal was excellent.
Yeah, that's actually worth mentioning as well, because she's had a couple of high-profile mistakes, in games where people have tuned into.
It's been a problem position for Ireland.
Yeah, and I think there was some suggestion that Megan Walsh, sort of a new recruit, might come in and might even have been a bit unwell. But in fairness to Courtney Brosnan, she was put under a fair bit of pressure, crossed into the box and stuff, and did nothing wrong.
Kosovar Asllani of Real Madrid and Sweden eventually scored for Sweden, the equaliser. That was on 79 minutes. It was a goal of quality. The crossfield pass, the touch for Asllani, her touch, her finish, deserved. I mean, it would have been hell of a hijacking if Ireland.
It would have. I mean, they had their moments, didn't they? Like, there was a couple of moments where Sweden, there was one passes in the first half and you're just thinking, yeah, these are different level. But they were restricted in those moments as well too. And you're so used to Irish hard luck stories in football, and you sort of see so many games I've been to over the years probably like that, be it maybe the All-Ireland International game or particularly League of Ireland teams in Europe springs to mind, where they have that sweet spot where they're ahead and you think they're getting frustrated and then it just falls apart, and when Sweden equalise, you think, oh no, here we go. Like, you sort of just think the dam is broken here and this is just going to happen. But in fairness, I thought the last 10 minutes they sort of held it together pretty well. I mean, there was a free kick at the end that shouldn't have been given, but I mean, the slight caveat is that Sweden only needed a draw to qualify, so it wasn't like they were clearly going for it, but there was still a sense of they'd done their job too. But that's only a minor point in the greater scheme of things, Now you see the photos of the Irish team celebrating on the pitch and having their moment, and they've been there before, with the Finland game and stuff too, and they have to still follow it up. Like, there is that slight sense of disappointment from you think that this summer it's going to be all on RTE, you're going to have the Women's Euros, so there's going to be a real focus on women's football and what would have been an amazing opportunity, and they didn't get there, and they could have, and that's something they're really missing out on, and they still need that tournament, to really enhance themselves. So the work is still there to be done, but and saying that, they're entitled to sort of enjoy the moment and revel in the significance of it, but they really just have to follow it up now. And that's stating the obvious, but I think that's the standards they're setting for themselves now, rather than just sort of getting a little pat in the head or something for a brave draw. I think they have higher demands of themselves when it comes to what they want to achieve now.
Thomas Tuchel said last week that the tie was dead, over, finito. Well, Rudiger looks to have just scored Chelsea's second on the night to make it 3-3 on aggregate. He's celebrating. He's running away celebrating. Ah, yes, we're seeing it now. I was thinking that was a Reece James shot, but the resulting corner went to the back stick. Rudiger was there. Brilliant header, powerful header through several bodies, back across goal into the bottom corner. Courtois couldn't get there. And here we are, Dan. Chelsea, from 3-1 down, are 2-0 up at the Bernebeu, 3-3 on aggregate.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's an unfair reflection of the game tonight to this point. they've been the one, and I suppose they had to go for it. I mean, in their circumstances, and maybe sometimes a team that's holding the lead are sort of in a little bit of a halfway house in terms of how you approach the game. But Chelsea have just really taken it to them, and I don't know. You're kind of wondering what the mood in the stadium is now. You think Madrid have so many players that have been there before that know what to do, but the flip side is there's always that niggling thing: is they're old. They're a bit older, and all of a sudden, what happens? Like, what happens from this point onwards? Is there real doubt creeping in? I mean, it is one of these things. The Premier League clubs at the moment, on their day, they can play with a real energy, and really that's what Chelsea have done. That's what they've done in this game. And even the scenario where you have the much maligned Werner or someone in there, if Madrid push forward a bit more now, you still have that sort of threat to hit them. So they've played it well.
Yeah,
they've played it well.
I've given up writing off Real Madrid. They are a curious beast in
Yeah.
this tournament. So there we are, 3-3 on aggregate. Back to Gothenburg. So Courtney Brosnan, we mentioned, she was in goal, had a very good game and has probably nailed down that position in the short term for sure. And Vera Pauw went with, you could say 3 at the back, but in truth this was very much 5-4-1. So it was Jamie Finn, and then the defensive trio in the centre: Niamh Fahey, no surprises; Louise Quinn, no surprises; Megan Connolly pushed back from midfield and did really well, in fairness to her; and then Chloe Mustaki, who's a brilliant story and has come back from adversity and played in just her second game, or certainly she's very few caps, and she filled in at left wing back. That was with the view to having Katie McCabe further up the pitch. So the midfield 4 was Lucy Quinn, Ruisha Littlejohn was little tyrant in there running around. Denise O'Sullivan was her usual brilliant self. Katie McCabe scored the goal and worked very hard as well. And then Heather Payne, subject to confirmation, ran about 400 miles up front. It was that kind of
brilliant, isn't she? In terms of that role,
off you go, Heather.
Start
the engine.
It's a sort of a completely thankless task. It's how many times do you even get in the box?
The downside is, and this applies to the whole team, and you couldn't be critical of tonight's performance, but it was very much about organisation, endeavour, the laws of physics. We have 10 behind the ball. It's difficult for any team to break us down if we're working hard and organised, which they were. I mean, the thing, if you were to be ultra, I was going to say critical, constructively critical, is Ireland's ball retention did them no favours for a lot of the game. In part because I suspect they were so tired, but even under not great pressure, I think at times technique has to improve, because it would have been, very nice, I suspect, for all concerned, to just take the sting out of the game for a minute or 90 seconds and keep the ball where it was pretty much gone straight back.
And there was even a couple of times in the first half where you could see that Sweden were leaving opportunities. There was 1 or 2 passes that could have been picked at times, and it wasn't that they were there for the taking. I mean, they weren't. I mean, the best teams that try and dominate the ball, they always take risks. So it's deceptive. They look vulnerable because they can be picked. They generally have good recovery capacity to alleviate problems if that does happen. But that is. But I've sort of made the point earlier. I've seen Irish teams in recent years the women's side being celebrated for results where it's been horrendous, almost behind backs against the wall stuff, to the point of almost anti-football in their approach. I don't think that's the case now. You can see that there was a little bit more invention. Even the fact that the goal was a free kick that they initially played short to work a better angle for a cross. Now in the second half, Katie McCabe was a set piece, didn't work out, but they tried it short. That they were trying to sort of not just, okay, there's a free kick here, let's just put everyone in there and try and get on the end of it. And that's the thing, even towards the end of the last campaign, you sort of see Louise Quinn being thrown up front for 15 minutes at the end of a game as you chase it, and it wasn't, it can be effective, but it looked a bit desperate, whereas you felt that there's a little bit more method to some of their some elements of their play now. But it's still a step, they have, there's still a slight niggling doubt over how the last campaign ended. Even the Slovakia game in November at home, after being so good in Finland, that they have to see it through when they're at home and expected to do something. They're going to beat Georgia, and then they're going to have this big home game against Finland where it's okay, it's possible that the way things are looking, a draw could be okay if Ireland can win their last game in Slovakia, but it's that big home game where it's there, and it's okay, now that's against the team that are decent can you take? And I mean, it's a thing that we've seen with the men's side a lot in recent years too, that the sort of defiant away display versus becoming a bit more of a killer at home in terms of how you efficiently do the job.
The defined away display does sit in nicely with our DNA. Like where you would say there's a marked improvement in this team if you compare it with the Euro 2022 qualification. Greece away, where Ireland gave up a soft equaliser in the 93rd minute, and then in particular Ukraine away, after beating Ukraine at home and doing the hard work.
Yeah.
They conceded an own goal. I think it was a mix-up between Anya Gorman and the goalkeeper. It was very, very soft, whereas you would look at tonight, and maybe it's the benefit of all the friendly games against better opposition, but that shooting yourself in the foot softness had dissipated to a large extent, you would have to say. Maybe that's the real improvement.
Yeah, no, I think so. And like you could sense even in those run of games where they were playing, because it was a long losing or non-winning run before the Australia game, and you could sense there was a little bit of some criticism was starting to seep in, and you could sense it even from some ex-players or current players who weren't involved. There's a few murmurs of what's really happening here, you know.
Before the Australia game there was pressure.
Definitely there was.
On Vera Pauw.
And you
because what happened in that period is Northern Ireland qualified for the Euros with arguably a lesser talent pool available, and suddenly we were looking going, are we being far too generous here?
Yeah, there was I think there was a sense that are they really like overperforming here, or what? Or like, you know, there are like Ireland players playing at a good level, say in England, and you're thinking, is this is the sum greater than the parts here or not? Now that may seem ungenerous when there's still a sort of a mixture of players. I mean, you'd have players in that squad who are effectively amateur, you know, and going up against sort of a Swedish operation who are like far, you know, miles away from that. And look, there's probably a great opportunity, or there should be a great opportunity to take the game forward here in sync with this great buzz around this team. And there's a real danger, like at the moment, like all the players here in the league at the moment are amateur. There's a great growth in football in England, but there's a sense of we've talked before about like outsourcing our football industry to the UK and our reliance for it, that there's actually, and I think Vera Pauw's making this point even this week about maybe having more games for the home place players and more opportunities for them, because you know there's the gap between Ireland and the top teams isn't actually, it's big, but you're coming from a situation where Sweden only started 20-25 years ago on their journey, and it's possible for Ireland to have a very strong women's team actually, if they do things right at home in the next couple of years, and you can't sort of let it slip and devolve responsibility for it. And that's going to come to resources and things that unfortunately we know
is not Jonathan Hill was there tweeting from the stadium, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, as Jonathan Hill likes to tweet from stadiums, he enjoys it. Why you give me that look?
Sounded like a criticism.
It's not. I mean, it's. I just think it's okay.
I don't want to say to the listeners you rolled your eyes when you said it, but your voice. But
you sort of gave me a sort of a suspicious look, as though there's some kind of sound effect could have functioned as an alternative response.
I interpreted that as.
I think like Jonathan Hill.
Not even let me say what I interpreted as.
Okay, sorry. Give me your interpretation, Joe.
Jonathan Hill loves the optics, the tweets, the likes. No substance there.
I think I'm a big fan of, like, I think it's good to be seen to engage, but when you go down that road, what if he's in the stadium and they've lost 4-0 and he doesn't tweet? Is that a news story?
No.
I think you have to keep a certain...
No, it's not a news story.
Is it not? Oh, I don't know.
Well, what's he going to say? Rubbish today. He must do better.
But I think are you not in danger of going down that road? It's like he's going to. I think I've seen it. I've seen it here at various levels. Like you see owners who are active on social media all the time, and then the team. Like there was a situation in Waterford last year. You know, the chairman was very active, or the owner, sorry, very active, and then the team goes down, a bit of scandal around Mark Bircham leaving, and you go quiet, and then you have loads of people coming at you. Oh, you're gone quiet now, aren't you? What's happening with you now? Like Jonathan Hill in Luxembourg, you know, put up that thing, this looks good here, when Stephen Kennedy's contract situation was out there, and it becomes part of the news cycle. Oh, this is positive. I'm thinking, I thought the CEO was going to pull back from being part of this. We're now talking about the CEO's tweets. I didn't think that was meant to be. And I listen, I've heard some very positive things about him, so it's been hypercritical, but I mean the position probably comes with with those demands. But I don't know if like high on the priority of what the CEO needs to be doing is tweeting for me where the game is coming from. Just a personal opinion.
Interesting. In fairness to him, he's not hanging out on the Brendan O'Connor Saturday night show here. He is at an Irish match of importance and just showing support.
I know, but is the bar a bit low if we're thinking it's great that the CEO is at the match? He should be at the match.
But is the criticism not a bit too much to be saying, how dare he even utter publicly on a great result?
No, I know. No, listen, you know, as I said, I'm a cynic, Joe.
Jeez, you really are.
I'm worn down by years of it. But I think, like, there's different demand. I don't know. There's something about the. It's obviously viewed as good engagement, and it's a positive thing to do, and I see it. But I think when results turn. Oh, we have a goal.
Alonso's just scored an absolutely phenomenal goal.
We won't have the senior authorities at Chelsea tweeting, of course.
What a finish. He was left out of the team at the weekend. It was very strange. Sorry, he's back in the team at the weekend. He was left out of the team last week, and it seemed like an odd decision. So, I mean, Chelsea are 3-0 up at the Bernebeu. They win the ball and they hit Madrid on the counter-attack. I think VAR is checking for a foul, but nonetheless, they win the ball, and quick as you like, Kante carries it forward. You've got 6 Chelsea bodies streaming forward. Gives it to Alonso on the overlap. Initially it's blocked down. Falls back to Alonso on his right foot. And he smashes a volley. Half volley. It bounces high. It bounces above knee height. And he smashes it across the goal. Top corner. It's an unbelievable finish.
They can't say that Werner in some way is instructing, is interfering with the keeper. Because Werner is one of those where he sort of gets out of the way as though he's getting out of the way of the shot.
Was he offside?
Could that have been distracting for Kurt? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What
a finish.
Yeah, I think they're
checking for a foul when Chelsea turned the ball over to hit Real Madrid on the break. We're going to take a short break. We're going to take a short break ourselves. We will hear from Megan Connolly, who's been talking to Aisling over in Gothenburg. I will be retweeting Jonathan Hill during the ad break. Dan will be reflecting on himself, I think, a little bit. No,
I'm not reflecting on I was thinking about it during that goal, and I've decided that I'm very confident in my opinion. Yeah.
The football show is brought to you by Sky, proud partner of the women's national football team. Out Believe together, and we can go anywhere. Short break. I do want to talk to Dan about the friendly derby, as it's been called. Man City, Liverpool at the weekend. Manchester United in ruins, and anything else he's having from the weekend. Back in 1 sec.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, all the football you love in one place. Across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
Agitator.ie. Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, watch every UEFA Champions League and Europa League match live on BT Sport this season.
You're welcome back. So later on we're going to hear from Megan Connolly, by the way. She's been speaking to Aisling in Gothenburg, so that's on the way. 68 minutes on the clock at the Bernabeu. So it turns out the Alonso goal on VAR inspection has been disallowed because the ball grazed his hand, and the new rule is...
We didn't see it, did we?
Not really. Any handball whatsoever in the build-up to a goal, intentional or no, it's ruled out. In the meantime, Madrid hit the crossbar.
It's emboldened Madrid. They've sort of got their get out of jail moment. I think it's been pointed out that I think Peter Walton, who's obviously doing the BT, he didn't think it would be disallowed. And it was. So it's one of those ones where it seems subjective to some degree. This
game is now in that lovely, very open stage with 25 minutes to go, and each period of possession is allowing whoever has the ball to get at the opposition back forward very quickly. There's not much hanging around midfield right now. It's fairly loose, nice and loose.
And like Chelsea, I mean, they've had a game plan, they've got to where they want to be, then they have their goal, and it's almost as though since that's been taken away from them, they've actually succumbed to some of the craziness, if you know what I mean. So it's a key sort of 5-10 minutes for them now.
I think this game's wild now.
Yeah.
I think everyone's brains are a little bit scattered and fried, and it's taken on that lovely quality that you want from 20 minutes to go. We've got to do something. Although, in truth, neither have to do anything. They could safely manage and negotiate their way to penalties.
Isn't it great, though, that we expect the wildness? Like at a different time in football, recent football history, even European history, you'd be sort of thinking, well, we're going to go to penalties now. It doesn't feel like... I mean, that may end up to being the scenario, but it's not going to be by virtue of a conservative...
I feel that sets in now, maybe
50 minutes.
5 minutes to go in extra time, which is fair enough.
Potentially, yeah.
So, speaking of football with an attacking slant, Man City Liverpool, the talk of the weekend, Dan. Kenny Cunningham won last night, and in I think a lovably typical Kenny Cunningham way, wasn't necessarily buying all of the hype about the quality.
I've seen that view being expressed in a few places, probably because it was defensively loose. I guess I didn't hear Kenny, but
his logic was, we saw Man City close to their best, we saw Liverpool quite a bit short of their best, and so he was saying it was very admirable the way Liverpool hung on in there and showed their spirit and their professionalism and their counter-punching ability. But if we were to really celebrate this as wow, then for Kenny you'd want Liverpool at full tilt as well. Yeah,
and I see the point. I mean, I was sort of watching it with someone, and you're making the point. It's like, I mean, it's there's one of these like sort of platitudes or things. It only takes a second to score a goal and all this, but it sort of feels like with Liverpool that really is the case. It feels like no matter what way the game is going or what's happening, they can just score at any moment. Like, they have that capacity to do it and to execute it. And it is true. I mean, there were spells where they were well and truly second best, but it just, they find it so easy to score, you know. It's a great quality to have. And almost at those key moments at the game where when they equalised after half time, you sort of felt actually in the next 10 is that they're going to win this. Now that eventually City sort of got that bit of control back again, and it didn't turn out to be that way. But I mean, I take the point. I mean, it all comes. I mean, everyone has their own view of entertainment. I mean, there still was football at the highest level because of things that individual players were doing at speed, and you're thinking, wow, this is amazing. But of course, yeah, it wasn't maybe like two teams with their most coherent, like, ruthless displays. It was sort of there was errors in it, but the errors were sort of endearing in the sense of like your experience watching it. You know,
quite a few pressurised errors as opposed to unforced, I thought.
Yeah, no, I take that point, and I suppose there's a degree of familiarity between these teams now that, like, they take chances. They know they were looking to hurt the opposition where they were vulnerable, as opposed to let's restrict them, if you know what I mean, in terms of the approach. It was a sense of, and that's probably why people warm to these sides. It's that, what can we do to hurt the opponents, as opposed to maybe neutralising them, which sometimes, of course, would be the way that previous managers, other managers, might have approached those type of ties.
If Man City go on to win their remaining 7 games, they will finish on 95 points. Now, only 4 teams in league history have ever got more than 95 points. Liverpool twice, Man City twice in the past 4 years. So this is a historical high point at the moment.
Is that in the history of, what history are we talking here?
Premier League.
So since 1992 or whatever.
Did they play football before then?
Apparently they did. And there was a different number of teams in the Premier League at the start.
And who knows? Look, there was a certain time where you didn't get 3 points a win. So I would actually confidently, and Mick can double check, I would say I'd be amazed if anyone pre-1992 got near 95 points.
We used to have 2 points for win.
Oh, even if there were 3. Even if there were 3. Nobody's got near 95 points. The highest, Antonio Conte really moved things on in 17, off the top of my head, by getting into low 90s. Like, Alex Ferguson and Manchester United were winning league titles with 87 points. So we've never seen anything like this.
What do you think? So does that, to you, does that speak to like the quality of Liverpool and Man City?
Yes.
Or the gulf between the top 4 or the top clubs and the rest, in such a way that they can smash teams with regularity? I mean, both of those things, both of those statements can be true in a way. They're not necessarily conflicting. But like, was it a more competitive league when Manchester United were winning it? Was there less of a gulf, less of a distance between the teams that were like challenging for 3rd and 4th and 9th and 10th? I mean, you see at the weekend, like, Southampton are completely safe and no difficulty, and they get smashed 6-0 by Chelsea at home. You know, you see what's happening in the Champions League now, and the dominance of the Premier League clubs. It's a reflection of what's happening at home. Yeah. So yeah, part of it is that they're great teams, but also part of it is that they're on another planet, clubs, so they just routinely win games and pick up points. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of, there's 2 elements to that.
Yeah, I think everything's got better. I think all of the teams outside the top 4 are massively improved on what we were seeing 20, 30 years ago, in terms of quality, in terms of ability to mix it with the big boys. They're all pretty much in the top 30 richest clubs in the world now. They've got brilliant players and brilliant technicians. And so I think they are miles ahead of what Manchester United were having to fend off at times in the 90s or early 2000s. But I just think, because they're not mutually exclusive points, I do also think in having the two best managers in the world, City in particular having the resources and spending a gazillion quid, what we're seeing here is just unprecedented levels of harnessing sports science, tactical acumen, preparation, technique. And so, yeah, there's a massive gulf. But I still, on any given day, you look at the quality elsewhere in the Premier League, and I'm still watching Man City and Liverpool games. I don't feel it's like Barcelona whipping everyone in La Liga. I feel City and Liverpool can be pushed to the pin of their collar and beaten on any given day.
Well, there have been times this season, wasn't it, like Brighton went to Anfield one of the days, as we have another.
Who else but Timo Werner?
He's always involved.
Much maligned.
It would be his luck if this one was chalked off by VAR for some reason.
2 at the weekend. Timo Werner in the squad for his pace, not his finishing, said everybody, and he looks to have scored. This is extraordinary. Chelsea 4, Real Madrid 3 on aggregate. There seems to be no VAR-related replays being shown on the screen at the moment. Courtois shaking his head. So we're out on the left-hand side. Werner picks up the ball and plays it into midfield and then drifts in field himself, and it's a lovely little through ball. He's got a tight angle, chops back onto his right foot brilliantly, and again onto his right foot, shoots, takes a deflection, just about sneaks through, but he does very well here to set himself up for the shot.
He does sort of everything he could. Carter's a bit unlucky that it saved the ricochet almost from the save. It spins, takes it away from the defender on the line. But
Werner chopped inside 2 Real Madrid players. You can imagine the Real Madrid players are sprinting back. One of them slides out over the end line, chops back inside the next one over the end line. And look, he gets it on target. It's not a consummate finish, but it's on target.
No, he held his nerve. To be fair, he actually... He did.
I'm happy for him.
I'm happy for him. I actually genuinely...
You were just slating him there off air.
I wasn't.
When you finished with Jonathan Hill, you took a knife to Timo.
Actually, of all your wind-ups, I find that one the most egregious.
Yeah, sorry, that's not
I actually right. Constantly defend Timo. If you want to discuss off-air discussions, interesting road to go down, Joe. Especially we're talking about other broadcasters.
Oh, dear. Timo Werner. That's an amazing moment for him. That's redemption.
No, it is. I am chuffed for him. He is he just makes things happen every time he plays. He is. I was having a discussion with someone at the weekend, and it's a bit like every time Aaron Connolly plays for Ireland, you feel like something's going to happen. He gets himself involved, even if he often doesn't always end well. But they have these ability to get into positions that they're part of key moments of the game, and there's actually a real skill in that movement to exist on the edge. Just don't always execute it when it comes to sort of the final shot or whatever it might be. But in this type of situation, I don't know, he can be brave sometimes. He doesn't necessarily go hiding, does he? You couldn't accuse him of that.
His movement there was really good because he took it up on the left-hand touchline, showed for the ball really well, took it in, laid it off, and then just drifted in field. And so who was going to pick him up necessarily? And he made a really nice run. I guess you'd call it inside left position. Pass was relatively easy, and suddenly he's in and had the composure to set himself up for the shots. So it's actually a brilliant piece of football. His football against Southampton at the weekend was brilliant as well.
Yeah, I know. He sort of... did they pay 50 million for him or something?
Yeah. Where did they find this guy?
It's not like a competition winner has suddenly struck gold here.
No, you're right. You're right.
Again, it's as Chelsea very nearly go 4-0 up on them. You think about it, they are on the verge of they're 3-0 up away to Real Madrid. We're talking about in the knockout context, they need one more to go through. But just that scoreline on paper. But there's some stat before tonight Real Madrid hadn't lost to an English club by more than one goal or something.
It has felt for some time like Real Madrid had a night like this coming.
But this is what will happen. We're not sure what's the story in the Bayern Munich Villarreal game, and where are we with that?
I'll check. Bayern Munich equalised, so we are 1-1 there. 78 minutes in the clock, and that will be heading to extra time penalties. Thomas Muller set up Robert Lewandowski. I feel like I've been saying that for 200 years.
It's is it 2012 here or something?
Impressive.
But it is, and I know we're talking about it in the context of the points, and it's very easy. Well, you find the result that suits your argument. Madrid, they could score now in 10 minutes, but think about it, Chelsea are nowhere near the top 2 really in the Premier League this year, and they're still able to go away to sort of hammer Madrid 3-0, and Barcelona are not even in the Champions League knockout rounds.
There was something slightly freakish about what Benzema produced against PSG
Yeah. Now we'll see if
And
they get
against Chelsea in the
Mbappe.
first
Like, it could well be that Mbappe goes there, and that sort of is part of the rebirth, and this is it. But it feels like these type of results are possible, where it's almost like there'll be massive coverage if they execute this, right? But it's not like a result for the ages in such a way that it might have been viewed a period of time ago. You know what I mean? It's not a massive shock that a top Premier League club is going away to do this to Madrid, for me,
Oh, what a goal.
You see? You never write off Madrid.
No.
Or La Liga, This is what happens.
Real Madrid just equalised, and it's just, none of the football they play a lot of the time is like that revolutionary. I think potentially it's why Ancelotti doesn't get the credit he probably deserves, is that you can't spot Ancelotti's styles of play necessarily. It's just good, solid, very high quality football from high quality players. So
Kante trying an ambitious pass.
Oh, what a cross.
And Modric.
Oh, Modric, outside of the foot cross.
There you go. You have Kante and Modric. I mean, it's like Kante wins possession, as he's been doing all night, but tries to sort of loft the ball up the line, like a long-range Panenka up the line. It gets cut off, and Modric with it outside of the boot cross, top class. The two big characters involved in it.
That is sublime, Modric. So this is what Ancelotti does. He empowers the great players to do great things.
Kante will be sick.
Yeah, it was loose, for sure. I didn't see who got the goal for Real Madrid. We'll bring you confirmation in just a moment. Rodrigo, 80 minutes. But it's going to be all about the Modric cross. When you see it, it's a symphony all in itself, that cross. Absolutely gorgeous. Do you want some points tallies?
Hit me with some points tallies.
Winning points tallies.
Go on.
So what did I say Man City would be on for? 95
points. Potentially, yeah.
So we had in, for instance, 1994, Manchester United, that great double winning side, they had 92 points.
Yeah.
In 2000,
I was interested in the early 2000s points total, because
this was in the midst of their three in a row when they were peak Manchester United, winning the league at a canter. Only 91 points
in 2000.
Yeah. So
that was the year they were off in Brazil in the middle of the World Club Cup, wasn't it? So they probably switched off for a while around that.
So what's happened really is, Arsenal, the Invincibles in 04 had 90.
90. What about like 01-02? Who won the league in 01-02? Was that Arsenal or?
Yeah.
Because that was the year when Liverpool won all the cups. The Premier League was very strong at that stage in terms of like.
From memory, 02 was Will Tour at Old Trafford, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. But the Premier League had the title race could involve. It wasn't a 2-horse race then, if you know what I mean. You would have had sort of proper 3-horse races out a few times in the early 2000s, wouldn't you? Particularly when Chelsea came in the scene then and sort of blitzed it.
Well, I'm giving you 04. I have that, which is Arsenal. So that was 90. But it's just taken off since Conte arrived. So when he arrived, it was 93 in 2017. To be fair, the Mourinho team got to 95.
Yeah, and that was an incredible achievement, domination. Really, because that was the year, wasn't it? Or was it the year after where Liverpool won the Champions League, having finished that
was the year they won it in 05.
Yeah.
See, Chelsea in
that was an amazing
Chelsea
team.
In 2005, that was Mourinho. That was complete domination. The league was over after 15 games because Ferguson was like, but hang on, I thought we just had to be in it at Christmas. What's all this?
Yeah.
But what's happened post Conte's arrival? 93 in 2017, and then it's just gone off the charts. So for instance, 2019 we have Liverpool on 97, but Man City on 98.
That was,
which is off the charts. 2020, we have Liverpool with 99 points. 2018, we have Man City with 100 points. So these are historical high points. Basically, in answer to your question, no, we haven't seen these points tallies.
No. I think it is amazing. But as I said, it's about them being great teams. But I know what you're saying. The standard of the Premier League has gone up. But I'm not sure the gaps between teams have also become bigger with that as well. I think they have.
I'm not sure. I feel, look, the other 18 teams are all way better. But I just think what we're seeing from Liverpool and Man City is unsustainably.
I think they're all way better.
Amazing. Yeah, I do, yeah.
I think the levels they can hit are high, but I mean, there's a lot of chopping and changing to the point where probably better to watch, but I don't know about their
effectiveness,
consistent levels, No, you can look at it. I mean, maybe Burnley this year have hit similar levels, and this year it hasn't been enough for them to sort of, they haven't evolved, if you know what I mean, like to evolve to sort of stay up. I can take that argument, you know. Teams like Brighton have evolved and got better to get out of that relegation cycle.
No, I do think they're much better. We will see when Klopp and Guardiola go, and this will be a sad day in the Premier League. Man City and Liverpool will quickly revert to something more normal, 92, 93 points. For instance, you were asking about 0-1. So United won the league with 80 points, and they won the league by 10 points.
Yeah, that sort of tallies a bit. Yeah,
as a change. Arsenal in 0-2, 87 points. So yeah,
which was very good. Yeah.
Do you? One last point in all this. There's been much talk of the friendliness, the respect, the lack of fire and brimstone about the rivalry.
I don't mind it really. I mean, I know people's point, but I know why people would have take issue with it, but would it enhance it? I mean, yeah, I'm sure it would be great, but I think it's one of these ones where the football is the storyline, which is sort of great. And I mean, we all love talking about tension or rivalry, but isn't it refreshing to be looking forward to it and talking about the game rather than some like
nonsense
Suarez ever handshake?
Yeah, I think
or some sort of some sort of contrived thing. Like, because it's more honest. It's an honest reflection of, there might have been times in the past where there was genuine hatred, but then there might have been times in the more recent past where privately, you know, that all these people probably get on quite well, but there might be a little bit more sort of posturing in front of, you know, for show or whatever. I mean, I don't feel it's diminished in any way by it. I understand the old school view of it, and they don't like to see it. But I mean, the managers themselves are a part of it. It's not as if like the managers are frowning. They have a mutual respect. I don't think it makes you think, oh, they got on well, I'm not looking forward to this game today.
Oh, I think the managers are setting the tone for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Ferguson and Wenger set a certain tone.
And it was natural, but that was natural to them too. You know, do you know what I mean? There's no sort of great big mind games. They also didn't like each other.
No.
Ferguson, they genuinely did not like each other. It wasn't sort of, you know, they played mind games within it, but it was also a genuine dislike. Klopp and Guardiola like each other, so, you know, do we need it? You know?
I don't think so. I mean, like the Keown banging his elbow off Van Nistelrooy period, and obviously the tunnel stuff was wonderfully dramatic. So,
of course,
like, it kind of made the
rivalry.
But
it reflected a genuine.
It was genuine.
Empathy,
I was trying to think, what's going to be the equivalent of Keane Vieira on ITV in 15 years' time? And I suppose it probably won't be the players. What you'd want to see coming from one end and the other end is Pep and Guardiola. Is Pep and
how do you mean,
Klopp.
like the documentary or something?
The Keane Vieira doc. Yeah, remember the Keane Vieira doc?
Yeah.
So I now think, instead of like, hated each other kind of vibe, in an ideal world it would be Pep one end, Klopp, probably a hug, and instead of them talking about things like the tunnel, it will be them talking to Gabriel Clark about tactically, this is what I tried to do.
What I liked about them.
Here's the chalkboard. Here's what we tried to do with Trent. And then Jurgen going, yeah, we knew you were doing that to Trent. We didn't care. We still told him to be high because we were doing this. I think that's the...
Yeah,
thing.
no, it's true. But the only thing is, though, sometimes like those rivalries spin out of a particular incident in a game. Like maybe that incident will happen in the future. Maybe there will be that contentious thing that happens. It just hasn't. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. That incident hasn't happened yet.
The fans hate each other.
But like if the game on Sunday had been settled by a shock refereeing decision in the 90th minute that caused, you know, a dive or something, then maybe that could have been that would change the tone considerably in the relationship, because both Klopp and Pep, as we know, on their day, I mean, they've got there for a reason.
Yeah, it's remarkable really over the last couple of years that moment hasn't happened yet. It may well. We've got to take a short break. We're going to go back to Gothenburg in just a moment. So as things stand, right, Real Madrid off at your peril. It's 4-4 in Madrid, so we're heading for penalties. 3-1 on the night to Chelsea, and it really did look as if Chelsea were home and hose there, but Modric's cross was a thing of beauty. And in Munich, it's 1-1 in aggregate. So both games, as things stand, heading to penalties. Back in 1 sec.
Football on off the ball.
With Sky, all the football you love in one place. Across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. With Sky, watch every UEFA Champions League and Europa League match live on BT Sport this season.
McCabe goes short out to the right-hand side. Ball sent in very, very deep. Could be a chance here for Ireland. Falls to Denise O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan on the right-hand side. Pulls it back to the edge of the area. Shot comes in. Takes a deflection and it's into the back of the net. And the Republic of Ireland lead in Sweden. And it is Captain Fantastic, Katie McCabe, who has scored it. What a moment. for the girls in green. They lead Sweden by 1-0, and it is Katie McCabe from the edge of the area. The deflected shot, a huge goal for Vera Pauw's side just before half-time. Sweden 0, Republic of Ireland 1, Katie McCabe.
Yeah, Nathan Murphy there calling the action. That was the breakthrough for Ireland. Finished 1-1, of course, but it's a brilliant point for Ireland. Still, by the way, 4-4 on aggregate between Madrid and Chelsea, and still Bayern Munich and Villarreal also headed for extra time, 1-1 on aggregate. So 1-1 in Gothenburg. Megan Connolly had a great performance, moved from her usual midfield position to filling in the back five. Did so very well. Afterwards, Aisling O'Reilly caught up with Megan Connolly.
Megan, what a result out there for Irish football. It really was an historic win to come away from home against Sweden to get a draw and almost got the win early in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming into this week, we were just trying to get anything we could out of this game. Obviously, Sweden are the top seeds. They're the favourites. And obviously, they qualified tonight by getting the draw. But I think for us, it was just doing the very best we could. You know, everyone left it out on the pitch. Everyone did absolutely everything they could to try secure the win when we had the goal up. But we'll take a draw for how good they are, and for their goal, obviously they show their quality. But yeah, we'll take what we get.
And defensively, how tough was it out there? I just asked Katie. It was a dogfight, and you fought to the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you don't get a second to kind of take a deep breath. They're constantly just relentless, putting the ball in, playing it wide, switching it back. Like there's someone running on your shoulder, your other shoulder. So it's just a game of where we had to communicate, you know, for the whole 90 minutes. Again, everyone did that unbelievable. Same with Courtney. Courtney in the back kept us in it in a few times, and just really kind of helped us in front of her. But yeah, they were, as I said, they showed their quality for the goal. But I think for us, we gave it everything and deserved what we got.
And going in at half time, being a goal up, that Katie McCabe goal, what was it like in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think for us it was just get a deep breath and just settle again. Because obviously there was some moments in the first half where we kind of got away with stuff, you know, they had the opportunities. But yeah, it was just deep breath and go again, because we knew for the next 45 minutes it was going to be even tougher. As you saw, they brought their players on, and it got even stronger, even tougher. So yeah, for us it was just using that break to get our breath, knowing that we had to really dig deep even further.
And for you in there, in the defence, Courtney Brosnan was just amazing tonight. She hasn't got that much playing time, and I think she proved why she's number one. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Courtney had to step up tonight in a lot of moments, and I think she showed that. She proved it. There's a lot of competition for the number one, and I think Courtney fully deserved her position tonight, fully deserved everything she got tonight. And yeah, as I said, she made some unbelievable saves. The one she hit off the crossbar, you know, that's kind of, you could say that gives us the draw, maybe, because, you know, if they get a goal earlier. But yeah, she was unbelievable, and I think that in moments when they get through, you need someone like that behind you, and I think Courtney did unbelievable. And to be in a place now where you're in a good position to hopefully qualify for a World Cup, how does that feel?
Yeah, unbelievable. I think we just need to, again, just keep focused one game at a time. Yeah, and take the Georgia game in June now, and give our best for that, and just, again, prepare then for when we have Finland and Slovakia. But yeah, this is only, it just continues for us, you know, we can't get too high on this. But yeah, we just have to get focused again when June comes, and just try get another good result, and then put ourselves in the best position against Finland and Slovakia.
And this is a really special bunch of players. It's an amazing journey that you're all on. How would you sum up the team?
Yeah, I think you see it with the whole Sky thing. It says out-believe. I think on the outside, you know, around the world, I think people kind of write us off a lot. But I think on the inside, within the team, within Ireland, we know we can do something and achieve greatness that people probably don't expect us to do. So I think there's just an utter belief between everyone that, you know, on any given day, if we just fight with everything we have, that we can get something.
There we are, Megan Connolly talking to Aisling O'Reilly, and that is such a filler for that team now. They have it within their grasp, as we said. So there we are. She did very well this evening. No fun against the number 2 ranked side in the world to be told, we're going to play you slightly out of position, and you'll be under a lot of pressure. Try not to make any mistakes, because they'll probably score if you do.
Yeah, and I mean, the job was executed. I mean, and I think as even we spoke about it, every goal is a bad goal to concede, and they probably did leave a bit of space, but at times you've seen them concede dreadful goals. At least there was a bit of quality in the goal they conceded in a weird way.
Yeah, it's an amazing goal.
So you kind of expect maybe that Sweden are going to do that, at some stage in the game.
Yeah.
And they sort of cut out sort of silly stuff. They did the basics very well in terms of their defending.
So more reaction from Aisling in Gothenburg on all our social channels, and keep an eye out as well. She'll be on OTB AM tomorrow morning with more reaction again. Latest in the Champions League, all very dramatic. So Chelsea 3, Real Madrid 1, and it looks like Villarreal have scored against Bayern Munich to win the tie on aggregate in the 88th minute. Chukwueze has equalised on the night for Villarreal in the 88th minute. 2-1 Villarreal on aggregate. Bayern Munich, in front of their own fans, headed out unless they score a fairly dramatic last-second goal here.
Emery,
redemption for Emery.
What have you got? Yeah, Eddie, how worried is he? Newcastle going to start coming back with some more money from?
Well, that's an extraordinary result.
It is, yeah. And I mean, let's just see what happens with Madrid Chelsea. I mean, is it going to be 3 Premier League clubs potentially and Villarreal in the semi-finals if Chelsea got to get the job done? It's a very plausible scenario. You'd imagine the way the other ties are set up.
Yeah. Wow. Did not see that coming.
No, you sort of assumed once Bayern Munich went 1-0 up that they'll power ahead. You're just looking at some of the stats. 4 shots on target versus 1 for Bayern. 11 shots off target, 6 corners. It's not like, there's obviously a degree of dominance there. 65-35 possession, but they don't look like they've converted it to like chances. To shot after shot where they've been peppering it. It's not like Italy and North Macedonia or something. You have 31 shots or something.
Yeah,
it's not that.
No,
in terms of just a very basic reading of it.
Well, that is quite something. So it's gone full time at the Bernebeu. We're headed for extra time there. Real Madrid 1, Chelsea 3. An amazing fight back. So a reverse of the first leg at Stamford Bridge. 3-1 win for Chelsea. Real Madrid just refused to go quietly. That amazing Modric cross for the goal to equalise the tie, and they'll go to extra time and potentially penalties, and we're just waiting on the full-time whistle. It has gone full-time. Villarreal have knocked Bayern Munich out. A 1-1 draw in Munich. So they are 2-1 winners on aggregate. Villarreal through. Bayern Munich out of the Champions League this evening. And we have to see what happens at the Bernabeu. We're pretty much done. Our football show was brought to you by Sky, proud partner of the women's national team. Out, believe together, and we can go anywhere. We should mention that News Talk Breakfast tomorrow morning, we'll be talking to Bob Aram, which will be an interview worth hearing. OTB AM stacked as well. Kelly Harrington will be on, recently married, of course. Andy Friend as well, ahead of the second leg against Leinster in the Heineken Champions Cup. And then we're busy tomorrow ourselves. Keith Earls is going to come on the show. Interesting time for Munster. And then we'll be previewing the hurling championship as well, with a fairly stacked lineup of Eddie Brennan, Dennis Walsh and Jamie Wall. There is, of course, Liverpool, Benfica, Man City, Atletico. So busy tomorrow evening. Dan McDonnell, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
We've got Tom Dunn on the way.
We're